Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mae.
I'm Max.
And I'm Ben, and we were had.
Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were. Today we're going to talk about the disappearance of famed aviatrix Amelia Earhart.
Aviatrix?
It's a word.
It
is a word.
Like doctress?
It is like doctor. It's like my bed.
Is that for someone who flies a plane, but like kinky?
Yeah.
Aviatrix.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
She
flies a plane in leather.
Yeah, she's spanking the stewardess while she's landing the thing.
That's right. That's so. As long as we're all on the same
can't
page.
be women unless they're sexy.
I know Halloween costumes.
Yes.
Sexy pilot as a Halloween? No.
I mean, they're
Flight
sexy
attendant.
like banana.
You can
like,
have a sexy anything on Halloween. I've definitely seen a sexy pilot.
Yeah, I feel like I have too.
Well, you just said no sexy pilot, sexy flight attendant. That's believable.
Well, first of all, I said flight attendant, not stewardess, so already I'm
Progressive.
a good person.
Progressive, yes.
And that was all I had to say.
Okay.
So, Amelia Earhart was born on July 24th, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas. She disappeared, or as I wrote in the notes, disappeared, on July 2nd, 1937.
How old was she then?
She was, good question, I guess 40.
Over the hill.
Let me tell you something.
About to turn 40.
Did she disappear or just disappear into oblivion? Let me tell you.
Just nobody cares
Maybe her
anymore.
career stopped because she turned 40.
We will hopefully not continue to make fun of this poor lady
All right, she said yes.
who disappeared.
Yes.
Presumably dead. Who knows?
Yeah, she's just 110
We will get
out
into it.
there just gallivanting.
So she disappears on July 2nd, 1937. She is not declared dead until January 5th, 1939.
Wow.
So about a year and a half before she was actually declared.
It's because they were looking hard for her then, huh?
They put more, the government itself put more into this recovery mission than any other mission before it. Mission before it.
Do you think it's because... Well, I don't want to get into any of the theories for later. We'll get back into this.
The fact that
was she that much of a national hero?
So let's get into that. So Amelia Earhart, we now remember probably most for her death or for her disappearance. She was extremely famous in her day.
Really?
Yes.
Before dying.
Yes.
Okay.
And this disappearance was like huge news.
Okay.
So
like if Jennifer Aniston fucked off on a plane and died.
That is a weird comparison, but yes, in terms of the amount of fame. Yes.
Michelle Obama?
No, Jennifer Aniston.
Hillary
Jennifer.
Rodham Clinton? Okay.
In terms of just sort of, oh yeah, please.
Would you compare this to like a Challenger kind of situation where the whole world's paying attention to the launch or the flight and then it goes wrong?
Yes, but it would almost be even more publicized in the sense that she was a personality that people knew. She was an icon.
Was she an actor or something?
No.
Was she in the talkies?
So basically, Amelia Earhart, in terms of just objective accomplishments, first woman to fly solo above 14,000 feet, first woman to fly
cool.
across the Atlantic Ocean, earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, an honor awarded by Congress for her heroism and achievement in aerial flight, and first woman to make the first solo nonstop flight across the United States.
Can I say something?
That's amazing.
I thought this was her first and last flight. Always,
too.
my entire life. I did not realize that.
No, so she was really accomplished, and I don't want to plug my other podcast. I have an episode of Amelia Earhart where I discuss a lot about her life, but I will just synopsize it by saying that she was not, what's interesting is that she was probably not the most skilled female pilot, but people sort of, including her husband, who is a publicist, really took advantage of the image of Amelia Earhart, and she actually started a fashion line and all this stuff.
Wow.
She was, like I said, an icon. So
You're saying there were other female pilots, though.
there were other female pilots, and she was also kind of a pioneer in terms of like trying to promote women in aviation and women in other professions. She would give like lectures and stuff like that.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Badass.
She
Yeah.
also kind of looked like Charles Lindbergh, who was the famous pilot who flew across the Atlantic for the first time, period. And that was also, she was named Lady Lindbergh, Lady Lindy, sorry.
Is that a compliment or is that an insult?
Lady Lindbergh's a good-looking guy. So in terms of...
Classic face swap situation.
So I'm all just to make the point that
I thought the Lindbergh was the blimp thing. That was the Hindenburg.
That was the Hindenburg.
I caught
Yep.
myself.
Can I
Thank
ask a
you.
dumb question? When were like the Wright brothers? Were airplanes invented?
18?
1905, I believe, was like the first.
Oh, so she was
real
getting in the
accomplished
ground
flight.
floor.
Wow, yeah.
This is called the golden age of aviation. Between the first,
Feels like no, based on her death.
Yeah, right. I feel like we can get places from A to B without a issue.
Well, can we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like both of you are like hinting at things that I don't know what you're hinting at. I don't know where are we going with this.
We're doing better now in aviation than we were then.
Oh, of course. And
Yeah.
also, this is sort of pre-real commercial flight. Yes, people would get on airplanes, but it was kind of very much reserved for the rich
Okay.
and, of course, war.
Right.
And that's really the development of airplanes is a lot of it because of military stuff.
I was thinking about this before we started, the fact that they never found her. And I was like, how could they have not found her? The whole world was looking. And then I remembered we just had that Malaysia flight
Yes.
that they never found at all.
We could do an episode on that too. But
Tell
yeah.
you what, we should do
That
an
might be
episode
a
on that.
two-parter, actually, because that one is...
There's a lot to
there.
it.
I will also say, and we can get into the theories of what exactly happened to Amelia Earhart, but the other reason, and very kind of makes sense reason why we wouldn't find her, is the ocean is really big.
I've heard that.
Yeah, hot take.
really, really big. So if she did end up just crashing into the Pacific, it does make sense that we
Yeah.
wouldn't find her even after a millions and millions dollar mission to find her.
Like, how long did it take us to find the Titanic? A long time, right? Because we know where it is now, like, right?
But they
Only
knew where it
pieces,
crashed,
right?
no?
Oh, I thought that you could like go to the. I thought like the boat, like people saw the boat. Maybe that was just a movie I watched. called
Titanic.
And then they got this big jewel out of it and brought it up to this old lady.
And she very dramatically just like tosses it over.
There was this small indie film, I think it might have even been an NYU student, who made this movie called Titanic, and it was
You know what's
97.
strange is people forget that in real life, Bill Paxton found the Hope Diamond. A lot of people forget that. Right?
We were just talking about Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton's having a day.
Bill Paxton has come up a few times in Max and my conversation.
Yeah. We're big Paxton guys.
Rest in peace.
Rest in Paxton.
Yeah. As they say. We have big love for him.
Oh. Never saw that program.
Was that Bill Paxton? Was that Bill Pullman?
That was Bill Paxton.
I don't know who either of these people are. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I could tell when you didn't
was like-
you didn't react to the bit that I was doing.
Yeah, I didn't get the
wasn't
bit.
nerding out on Paxton. He's a random American actor. He's good. He was good.
Random. He's the guy that
He's the one in
interacts with the old
Titanic
man.
that is in the present, talking to
okay.
the old woman.
When they're
I
in a
see,
little
I see.
boat.
Okay, got it. Huh.
Amelia Earhart.
Okay.
I'll just say this. She wrote a memoir in 1932 called The Fun of It. And the reason why it's called that is because she once said, "Flying may not be all plain sailing, but the fun of it is worth the price." And
Oh,
obviously
that's
that's
creepy.
kind of creepy and foreboding because of what happened to her.
That price
But
being your life.
She was also, like, as we were saying, like, aviation, what she was doing was really risky. And, like, people knew that it was really, really risky.
Were other pilots dying at the same time
Yes.
doing
Of
stuff like
course.
that?
Yes.
So this was
Yeah.
common.
Yes,
Okay.
constantly. Yes.
Also, didn't she write in her diary Croatoan? Wasn't that a thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
going back to the
What?
Roanoke thing.
Is that in your notes?
It's no, but
We talked about it on that episode.
we talked about
though.
it during the Roanoke episode.
Yeah.
Oh, did we ever have any clues as why she would have done that? Just fucking with people beforehand?
I don't know.
It is weird.
Grow it
Yeah.
just in case. Grow it.
Very like Illuminati.
Yes. Well, I mean, she had a lot of high up friends. You're saying it like she was a celebrity. I'm still not getting how she was flying a plane that big of a
Like
deal.
being a female
Yes.
entrepreneur, or not entrepreneur,
Was she the first girl boss?
It's the same. I believe that she and Lindbergh and people like that were celebrities in the same sense that the astronauts were celebrities in the 60s.
Okay.
They were the new frontier.
Or like a
Not only-
Magellan type?
Yes. Oh, well, I don't know if was he a celebrity. I don't know if everyone.
Magellan fog.
That's sexy. It's like you're gonna go to this place no one's ever been. Like it's
Around the
wicked
world
risky.
in
It's hot.
80 orgasms. Am I right?
Yeah, sure. And I think no. But I mean, it's like Mae said. I mean, it was so. These people are like fucking cowboys. Like
Yeah.
they're I don't know cowboys.
Cowboys.
But I mean,
Cowboys.
space cowboy. I don't know.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
Pioneers. There we go.
Pioneers.
Pioneers, but also risking their lives for the sake of like
The bit.
human advancement. Like
Yeah.
it's cool.
Right. If every human in history was like me, we'd still be like,
In the Stone Age.
we'd have no clothes. We'd be throwing shit at each other. Yeah.
So Earhart accomplishes all these things during her life. She's extremely famous. There's always like every time she accomplishes one of these things, there's a big ticker tape parade for her. She's also, and this is going to tie in later, she's friends with Eleanor Roosevelt, very good friends with Eleanor Roosevelt, and
Friends?
by association, there's possibly some rumors there.
She
but
was her
probably not.
roommate for 20 years.
Yeah, they're very good friends. They went on a lot of bed and breakfast weekend trips together as friends.
But also friends with FDR. So like,
Okay.
and Eleanor Roosevelt
Well, everyone
actually,
knows his dick didn't work, so.
I think
Is that
it did
true?
because he cheated on Eleanor.
Even the cripples.
Stephen Hawking also cheated on his
Did
wife.
he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Get the
I
fuck
think-
out.
Yeah.
He did, and I remember I like read some book when
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
in school or whatever, and I got to that
What
part
grade
of the
was
book.
that in?
I don't know. I
You
think I was
read
doing
a book in high school about how Stephen Hawking cheated on his wife?
No, it was like Stephen Hawking's biography, and I was doing a book report
Oh.
on him. And I got to that point, and I was like, "Are you fucking serious, men?
Yeah.
You can't trust men.
Can't trust him.
You can't trust them if they're in a wheelchair, and can't. It's a nightmare.
Especially then.
Especially, I mean, I guess whatever. He's got some things going for him, Stephen Hawking. But anyway,
So Earhart,
sorry.
she does all this stuff. In 1937, she is ready to try to accomplish a major feat, which is to fly across the entire world, to circumnavigate the globe. It has been done before at this point in 1937, but the kind of special thing about her flight would be that it would be more or less around the equator. So basically as long of a trip as you could possibly make across
But you're
the
not
world.
doing that in one shot. You have to pull over.
No, not close.
Gotta gas
You're
up.
doing it, and there's a map of like all of the stops she made, but it's a lot of stops.
Was this
Okay.
during like the risky one, the leg of the trip?
The longest, yes. The fateful disappearance was during the longest leg of the trip. Yep.
So she probably died in the ocean,
Okay.
right?
Oh yeah. Maybe on that island.
Those are the two. Okay, well, let's get into it. We're almost at the theories, basically. Just to kind of recap what happened. First of all, she was with another person. She was with her navigator, Fred Noonan, who was kind of an accomplished navigator in his own right. And Max and I talked a little bit about this, but it's also one of those, like, we only remember Amelia Earhart dying. No one really
I didn't
knows
know there was.
Noonan.
I also thought it was her first flight ever, but I didn't know. Like,
I did too, honestly.
I feel like in like fictionalized pictures of it, it's always her in the plane by herself.
Yes.
There's never a little Noonan popping his head out with a little map in the back seat.
No. I thought it was just her. I thought that was like the thing
Justice for
about it.
Noonan.
Yeah. Oh, and also just to like make a comment about how hip this podcast is, or how relevant this podcast is. First of all, you said that there was a reference how this podcast is the bee's knees, and
It's a groovy time.
so we're rocking here. And the first of all, we're talking about how you said that the new TV series Loki made a D.B. Cooper reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an
Yeah.
article today about the Havana
you watch
syndrome.
it?
There was? Oh,
Yep.
wow. Huh.
Yeah, insane. And the Somerton Man's being examined as we speak. And you just read an article about Amelia.
Yesterday, an article came out that they found these letters written by Fred Noonan, the last letters
my
written
God.
by him 8 days before the disappearance.
I was telling Ben, I said, at a certain point, we're not following the news. We're dictating it.
We are the news.
We're pushing story. They're taking notes from us. I was telling him we're not storm chasers. We're creating the storms. We are gods.
And then I said Twister, and that's how we started talking about Bill Paxton.
That's
So
true.
now
Now
everything
full
makes
Full
sense.
circle. Okay, got it.
And yes, I did say I was the Helen Hunt type in this scenario. That's the woman in the film. May
Okay.
never gets any of my
No.
bits.
Whew, that
I
was-
know who Helen Hunt is.
Do you?
Did you know she was in Twister?
I did not, but I do know
I
that
don't
she has
trust-
very thin lips.
I don't trust your and big forehead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she does,
Wow,
yeah.
poor Hunt.
But she was supposed to be like the hot person, right? Like
And
in
as
most
good
of
as
the-
it gets,
yeah,
compared
yeah.
to a 70-year-old Jack Nicholson.
Jack
She was
Nicholson
the hot
fuck.
one in the relationship.
I actually do remember Twister. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
It's about people who like chase like
Right.
tornadoes.
Twisters.
Yeah,
The titular twisters.
Do you remember how they survived the Twister in that movie? They tie themselves with like a fire hose to a
Yeah.
pipe in the ground, and that works. I'm no physics major, but I don't think so.
All
Okay.
right. I apologize for insulting Helen Hunt's forehead.
Yeah,
I don't,
Jesus.
I don't know where
That's
that came
fine.
from. Yeah.
Helen
I don't apologize
Amelia
for
Earhart.
insulting her lips.
Amelia Earhart was supposed to land on Helen Hunt's forehead originally.
How did she miss?
Oh, madam.
I apologize for that second comment about
I apologize for the wheelchair comment before.
Oh my god.
was tough.
Yeah.
which was the wheelchair comment?
No, forget
When
it.
she said 2 wheels, 2 wives, what they always say.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I say something about the? Anyway,
Yeah,
we'll
whatever.
not cut anything because that's never been the case.
That requires me to listen all the way through.
Just a few quick details. So they're going to go around the globe. They were actually planning on going, what would that be, eastward, but then a few problems happened. Instead, the plan is to go westward. Oh, sorry, opposite. They were planning on going westward and end up going eastward.
From where to where?
So, basically Oakland and back to Oakland again. They're doing the
okay.
full.
Why
around-
Oakland? Was there a big plane depository there?
I guess there was some sort of.
She was a
airport.
huge Raiders fan. I'm a sports guy.
I'm impressed. I was impressed by that. They moved to Las Vegas a few years ago, but still close enough. So she's with Noonan. Okay, so the leg of the trip that they're doing. First of all, what's also a little bit like tragic about this, they were really close to making, like to finishing the trip. They had done most of the trip.
Was like the last stop in Hawaii or somewhere in Asia? I'm
It
guessing?
was. They were like. I think there would have been one more stop after this one, maybe two, but they were well past halfway.
I think you said something about the fact that that wasn't her first choice of navigator.
There was a guy named Manning who was the original navigation choice. The reason why that's somewhat significant is that he was a much more skilled radio operator than Noonan was, and that maybe came
Why
to
do
bite
you
them in the
have to
ass.
be a skilled radio? It's not just click the button.
Yeah, right? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Morse code?
Does he have to tune
He knew
in?
Morse code.
Oh, Morse code, yeah.
Isn't that the one thing you needed to know?
I would assume Noonan had that down.
It says that Manning had knew Morse code.
Maybe
as
they
if,
had to tap into
maybe-
like more of like a ham type situation where they really had to kind of tune into the frequency.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it is fucking... When was it?
1930 whoopsie
37.
day, 19
Yeah.
whoopsie daisies.
So they're making so the trip that they don't make it is from Lae Airfield, which is in Papua New Guinea in the Pacific. So this is like we're already in the Pacific basically,
Okay.
to a tiny place called Howland Island.
Oh.
It is a 2,556 mile flight. So it was the longest leg.
That's... Yeah. How far is that? Like, would that be from here to California, basically?
I think a little less than that.
Okay.
Isn't here to
It's
California about
3,000.
3,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also keep in mind, like, these plane rides are like hours and hours long.
Yeah.
So
They're going that fast.
no, not at all.
Wow.
The trip from, I could look up the exact timing of the trip, but like Lindbergh's trip, for example, I think took like 20 hours when he flew from New York across the Atlantic.
Where are they pissing in that plane?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, they got a catheter in there or something. Or what?
I don't know.
That's my first and only concern.
I'm not sure, actually.
If I
Yeah,
can't
but they're
do
just
it,
like wearing a diaper.
Oh.
It
for
really
it?
might have been that.
oh
Yeah.
my god, poor Noonan.
And then they come to the ticker tape parade as like heroes and they're just fucking soiled themselves. Just waving. That's awkward.
Why would they choose to try to land on a tiny little island?
Where there are
As
other
opposed to
options.
like a.
Feels like they're really just
As opposed to the water.
yeah. The water seems like a poor choice, but like, how hard was it to find that in the air?
Well, very difficult.
Because were they just going off coordinates?
And is there an airport that they're landing in, or is it just like
Probably just some
dirt
sort of.
fucking...
Yeah, I imagine
Trees
it's
cut
not.
to have little hands to catch them.
It's
Wow.
it's just a big trampoline.
It's a couple of local villagers having a sheet out that they're running around to catch it.
So they disappeared during this flight. It was bad weather. There's a huge rescue mission led by the president at the time, who was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR.
Which term?
It would have been 37, so it already would have been
Second?
into his second term. Yeah, that's right.
Tell you what, he's at the top of his game back then. If anyone was going to find him, it's second term FDR.
What's even the plan to find them though? Like they're just like scraping the fucking ocean. Like you know what I mean?
Guess so. Well, definitely checking all the surrounding islands, and we'll get
Yeah.
into which island they possibly landed at nearby. I mean, there's just so many tiny islands. If you want a nice SAT word, atolls.
Yeah, I saw that a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it.
I did not know the word at first. It just means a small island.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just say that.
I'm gonna go with atoll. It's
Yeah, and everyone's gonna be a pretentious asshole.
atolls.
I'm worried that the camera's not recording. I forgot to put it on airplane mode. We're not going to cut this out. Please enjoy this segment, but please talk amongst yourselves. I'm going right there.
Okay, sure.
Okay, great.
So I'll just say this one little tidbit so it was 18 months before they actually declared her dead, and some people think that it was because of her husband Putnam that he wanted to marry his third wife, and then that was like Amelia was the second wife. There's actually so many interesting things about their relationship and his life. So
he wanted to be like, okay, let's declare this bitch dead, so now I can date this other woman. Is
possibly
that what you're saying?
that's
Okay.
what that was a theory at least.
Wow.
So I guess it's time to get into the theories of what happened, and we'll go over 4 of them. They're not all mutually exclusive. Like some of them can be combined in certain ways. Obviously, landed in the water versus landed on land. It can't be both of those.
Right.
But in general.
I mean, if it's on the shoreline.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So the probably most obvious theory that we've already mentioned before, which has also been the theory of the United States government since the rescue mission,
You can trust
is
them.
crash and sink. Fell into the water. They sank in the water. We haven't found it because the ocean's big.
Did they have a last known transmission from her at
Oh
any
yeah,
point?
good question.
Yes. So there are a few transmissions that would have been a few hours beforehand, basically saying we're lost and we're running out of fuel.
No.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh fuck.
That's really sad.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's tough.
So, I mean, the theory is basically that they ran out of fuel and they landed in the water, which is...
And that's Noonan's fault?
I think Noonan actually was rumored to be a drinker. But
No.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to blaspheme the guy, but it's...
That complicates
Yeah.
the peeing break thing.
Yeah.
Couple drinks in me, now we're in a long flight.
Breaking a
Good
seal.
night to my bladder.
I will also say that Amelia Earhart's father was an alcoholic. And when Amelia Earhart Amelia Earhart, before she herself flew across the Atlantic, was a passenger flying across the Atlantic. She was the first female passenger.
Huh.
And she didn't do much on that flight, but she was just kind of there symbolically, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
But part of her job, or what some of them said, was to make sure that the pilot kept drinking coffee because he was also an alcoholic.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that one landed. So
Damn.
Maybe she should have been drunk.
Everybody was an alcoholic before like 1960.
Look at Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Yeah.
And that is in 1960, right? The 60s?
Yeah.
It was in the 60s, yeah.
Well, everybody
Great
had that
show.
big, giant, fucking clear glass thing of whiskey. They would have that with breakfast. Just
But they
ripping,
held it well.
ripping
Yeah. In
that
cigs and drinking 3-finger pours all day.
Yeah. Ooh, I'd be
That's how they
killed.
focused.
Yeah.
I had 2 mojitos at lunch the other day. I was passed out.
Why'd you have mojito? You're just in the mood?
Well, it was a lunch with an old colleague, and I ended up going to the gym a couple hours later.
Oh, great.
After mojitos.
Yeah, I didn't give it my all. I'm going to be honest with you. Sorry. Are you going to talk about her relationship with her husband? Like, is that part of this at all? Because
Not
wasn't that
really.
was that not controversial or
Well, I'm happy to talk about I know a good bit about the life, but
was he also like a celebrity figure or
So he was a publicist and publisher, and he played a big part
in making her Amelia Earhart?
making her Amelia Earhart. There's one sort of interesting tidbit, which is that if you look at photos of Amelia Earhart, very rarely is she smiling, showing her teeth.
Oh.
And apparently Putnam told her, because she had some crooked teeth, a gap in the middle,
yeah.
like, don't smile with
Oh my
showing
god.
your
Oh
what
my
an
God.
asshole.
It was a lot of things like that, where it's like
Yeah.
he helped construct in some ways in an asshole-ish way.
The guy was
Yeah.
building a brand.
Right.
Yes. I mean, all of this, that's the part about, like, her life was, I mean, The disappearance is super interesting, obviously, but her life was also super interesting, also in terms of like creating an image.
So
Yeah.
if she
Kardashian.
landed, she was still going to be a major historical figure. She was already a historical figure. Maybe not major.
I don't know about major. I think I don't know.
I would guess yes. I mean, the first woman to accomplish that, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, she wouldn't be Amelia Earhart, but she would still be in history books.
she was
yes.
very.
But
people
Amelia
knew
Earhart
who
is
she
like
was.
a top
Yeah.
10 in school historical figure that you
True.
kind of know about.
I think that probably would still be in terms of like inspiring women, especially like because she's not an inspiring
low
woman
bar,
because
huh,
of
man?
I'm gonna spit out my water.
But I think that's true. Yes, I think she would still be an iconic figure in history, and especially like female history for sure.
Her story, if you will.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So crash and
Theories.
sink. Crash and sink theory, kind of the most obvious and sort of speaks for itself, I guess.
Yeah. And
She
like,
said she was lost. They didn't find what they were looking for.
Right.
They crashed in the
That
water.
was my theory, but now that the U.S. government likes that theory, it's not my theory
Yeah,
anymore.
that's a lie now.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is not
What are
one of
they
those
hiding?
episodes.
Something.
This is not one of those episodes where it's completely clear cut. There's a reason why this is still a mystery. Theory number 2: she landed and died on Gardner Island, which was a nearby island, the Japanese name Nikomororo Island, and the U.S. Navy planes flew over Gardner Island on July 9th, 1937, so right after, a week after the disappearance. And they reported seeing signs of recent habitation, though no one had lived on the atoll since 1892. Okay, so we get a little bit of something. 1940, British officials retrieved a partial human skeleton from a remote part of the island. A physician subsequently measured the bones and concluded that they came from a man. Okay, so maybe not Amelia.
But maybe Noonan.
Possibly Noonan. However, they were again re-examined. The bones were lost, but they like analyzed. So just to say, there are like so many people are obsessed with this thing, and like there have been still missions going on to try to figure out what the hell happened. And there was a analysis of the measurements that were made from 1940, but redone in 1998, and claimed that they were actually the remains most likely of a woman of European ancestry of around Amelia Earhart's height, 5'7" to 5'8".
Yeah, she's pretty tall.
Yeah. Tell you what.
Tell
Tall
you
drink
what.
of water. Can I ask you this? Was there anything plane related on Gardner?
That's the problem. Where is the plane?
Well, could it have crashed in the water and she swam there?
I guess. But wouldn't you think that you could totally be right? Wouldn't you think that right near the island, though, that
They would look for a plane?
that they would look for a plane right near there, especially now? Maybe not in 1937 because they didn't seem to care all that much about this particular island. But I feel like at this point,
Right.
But the ocean's so deep.
Yeah,
I
the
guess
ocean's
it's
Really,
possible.
crazy.
It's deep. Can I ask? I'm sure that this has been done, but how lost could she have gotten? Like, could she have gotten somewhere that's totally not even anywhere near what people think? What if
I
she
think that the radius of like the area of like where she possibly could have gone.
she
is
only
huge.
had enough fuel to get, but like I'm sure that's still if she was lost and there was bad weather,
Right.
you had no idea where she ended up.
I have a question. Like, if they were, if they were like communicating with someone on the ground and being like, "We're lost, we're running out of fuel," it's like, what are they supposed to do about it? Like, how would they know what
think it
coordinates
maybe
they
would-
were at? You know?
I guess they wouldn't, especially when the weather is bad and
Yeah, they'd be like, "All right, well, good luck out there."
it's- yeah.
Keep
Do
your
you
head
see
up.
the water? Do you see water all around? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Give Noonan another drink. He'll figure it out. You're sweating?
I am sweating. Through
You're in the hot
wow.
seat.
Oh my god, look at that.
Oh yeah, you really are.
That is
It's a belly
drip.
sweat.
Yeah.
I want to see those armpits. Tell you that.
I do not.
I actually don't get the armpits that bad. I just
Really?
get this
the
like
torso.
Yeah, torso one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you. Everything about you comes from your core. It makes sense.
I have a strong core. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's one thing you should know about me. That's how I'm holding this computer so tight. So, anyway, they also found a shoe and a sextant box. A sextant box, I think, is like some navigating.
She was
shit.
an aviatrix. We know what a sextant box is. We know what she was
Oh, yeah.
doing.
Aviatrix.
So that is the theory of the possibly being on Gardner Island, essentially, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
Let's jump around to a fun one. So the third one that I want to talk about, and this is again like it could be mixed with other things, is that she was captured.
Oh God.
On the Marshall Islands, which would have been controlled by the Japanese. And the idea is that, so this is pre-World War II.
Pre-Pearl Harbor.
Pre-Pearl Harbor. However, the Japanese are like rapidly making their military stronger and stronger and stronger. Relations between them and, well, they're kind of already at war with China, or about to be at war with China. I think the war with China starts like right around now. And the idea that they would become an enemy of the United States, the United States would be like clearly very nervous about the rise of Japan.
Yeah.
And they could have been like building airfields, military ports, compounds, all this stuff. Maybe Amelia saw something that she, quote unquote, wasn't supposed to see.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they captured her.
Oh, maybe. I like this theory. This is fun.
That's a fun theory.
Related to this theory, which probably makes this theory even more fun, is that Amelia was a spy.
Oh.
And that America, namely, where FDR, sent her there to find such things.
Oh.
To, I guess, from the air. But unfortunately, she crashed and she was captured.
Interesting.
And the U.S. government straight up said, no, she's probably lost in the water. So that gives credence to this theory.
So
Also, I wouldn't doubt, like, maybe she wasn't, like, a straight-up spy. It's also a possible... I would believe FDR calling her in and being like, would you mind taking a look over Japan? If she's a big public figure, it's an excuse. Like, you can't get as in trouble, because if she is caught or it becomes like a thing, she's like, well, she's a traveler.
Right. And you also don't know which came first. Maybe she's, like, planning this, like, big trip, whatever, and she's like, well, why are you there? Is that what you're kind of
That's
saying?
what Ben, you just said exactly what I said, but...
Well, I thought that...
Actually, shut up. What I was thinking is, what if she had already planned the trip? And then he calls her into his office and says, while you're there... May?
Yeah, maybe like... I'm not going to do it again.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like... That's a very cinematic explanation. I think that everything that you've described so far is exactly... She is kind of like that kind of movie, that character where it's like she's like famous with the public, but also in private she's a government hero and like that kind of thing. I would believe it. She seemed like a badass.
It also is kind of weird that it's like, oh, I'm gonna like fly around the earth, and it's like, why? For fun. It's like, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, no, they do make spectacles like that. Like that was
okay.
a thing at this time where it was like, we're going to accomplish, the first flight from Cincinnati to Denver. Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask how they prove it?
Prove what?
That she did it. What if she just went to fucking Santa Barbara, came back a week later with a little tan and was like, boy, oh boy, the equator's hot this time of year.
I guess from
the
the
like no, you're saying like
transmissions.
no one sees her land kind of thing?
No, I'm saying, do they have people at every stop being like, Amelia came?
Oh, sure, of course. This is like a big deal thing.
Okay,
This is
well,
not
I'm
like
just wondering.
they're not like but I'm just saying like it's not like there are thousands and thousands of flights going on every day at this point. Like this is a feat.
Right.
Are there any conspiracy theories here?
So this one I think would classify as a conspiracy theory. Now here's the thing. In 2017, a photograph was found that was the subject of a History Channel documentary that showed Earhart and Noonan on a Japanese, one of the Marshall Islands. But a Japanese blogger went to the country's national library, blah, 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 discovered that the photo had been published in 1935 at some other island nearby, and that would have been 2 years before she went on this flight.
Again, you can't believe anything the government tells you, regardless of where that government's from.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's a fun theory, and there are books written about this that are diehard about this theory. I would say that this compounded with the next one, which is basically that Amelia Earhart went into witness protection, and she was this woman named Irene Bolam.
What?
It's kind of related to the theory because it could have been the spy thing, and that's why she disappeared. But this woman, Irene Bolam, has sued people a bunch of times.
He's like,
I'm not Amelia Earhart.
I'm not Amelia Earhart.
They just look exactly alike, or what's the
Do
deal?
they look alike?
They do in the photos. I mean, you see a resemblance for sure.
Yeah, we'll pop that on the IG.
The theory is that her identity was burned and she had to just kind of start over. Why would you start over in New Jersey?
No.
Yeah, it's a random one.
We'll just move out of the country or something. Mm-hmm. New Jersey's a very public place. Go to Montana.
You've seen the world. Go somewhere nice.
Yeah. How do you fly around the goddamn world and you end up in New Jersey?
Yeah.
You don't?
Well, she's from assfuck Kansas. I mean, I don't know.
Still
Yeah,
better.
that's true.
Yeah. So those are the main sort of theories. So crash and sink, landed on the island, and there was a castaway situation. By the way, I mean, it's upsetting, but like the castaway situation basically just means that she landed on an island and
Survive
starved to
for a
death.
little longer. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, what about that radio stuff? We were talking about that beforehand.
Which part?
People, amateur radio people that said that they heard transmissions from her after
Oh yeah,
the
so
crash.
this is kind of interesting. So there is a this would have to do with the landing on an island possibility. So 2 days after a plane crashed, a San Francisco resident picks up a chilling frequency believed to be from Earhart.
I'm making a move.
So someone in San Francisco heard like a frequency that said "still alive, better hurry, tell husband all right."
Oh.
Even though the people were totally independent. So there were like a few of these kinds of stories. 5
Whoa.
days after the crash, a woman in New Brunswick, Canada hears, "Can you read me? Can you read me? This is Amelia Earhart. Please come in."
Oh.
Hard to misunderstand.
We have
Yeah.
taken in water. My navigator is badly hurt. We are in need of medical care and most have help. We can't hold on much longer. And again, the main issue with this theory, this is the Gardner Island theory, right? That she crashed on Gardner Island, is that when the rescue mission happened at the time, no one saw the plane and no one has found the plane.
Can I ask you?
But if she
from
said, if she said, sorry to interrupt, but if she said taken on water, that would imply that maybe they landed in the water and then ended up on the island.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess brought the radio. I don't know. I don't know how
That would
technology
make.
works.
Yeah, I think that would make sense,
Can you
right?
take that out of there?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know why. The fact that that theory is not mentioned that often makes me think that maybe I'm missing something, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think
The
so.
landing on an island thing makes sense.
Wait, so I wanted to ask you, like between the last radio transmission and like the first people to show up looking for her, how long was that?
Oh, I think it was about a week.
Okay, yeah, a week without like food or water, you're fucked, right?
Yeah, water in particular.
It's been a
Water
few
in
hours for
particular.
me, and I'm dying. Let me tell
Oh
you.
yeah,
I'm
Get
hungry.
hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, you worked out with mojitos. You're a tough guy.
I could use a week on an island. Let me tell you something.
Boo!
Starving.
Get some sun on these gams.
Send on these gams, lose little lbs.
Boo! It does not happen on vacation for me. Let me tell you.
No, no, I didn't mean on vacation. I meant in like a castaway situation, and then people would come and get me, and I'm just a skeleton. I'm like, I've never been happier.
You maroon yourself on an island.
Oh, I'd look great.
That's true. It's not like a problem if you can't eat. There's nothing to eat.
Right.
So really, you're just a survivor.
Right.
Right.
Something to think about in the fan section.
So what are our theories? Where do we stand with all these things?
Can I say something that you haven't mentioned?
Yeah.
Kind of odd.
Aliens?
Thank you. Thank you for saying it. Was
Well,
that
I
was
mean-
that never brought up?
There was one article I looked at that said it, but I think they were kind of joking. But there definitely was a thing that was like aliens question mark, as we would do.
What if she
Yeah.
encountered some sort of UFO situation?
Yeah, UFOs saw her flying, and they were like, "Hey, pull over." And then they,
Space time cops.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
Time
Oh,
cops.
time cops.
Yeah.
I didn't think about time
space
cops.
space cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just pulled over. Yeah, what if she just got like blipped to another fucking
Yeah, maybe
galaxy
she's on
or some
Mars
shit?
or something.
She could be on Mars.
That's my theory, is that she got
true. I don't
think
sucked
these-
up into a spaceship and sent to Mars.
Right.
Well, there was one thing in your notes that said like a billionaire spent millions of dollars scraping the bottom of the ocean for this woman.
I've got to say, and they do the same thing with the Titanic. Isn't there a better way to spend your money than this stuff?
Feed the people that are living.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Healthcare.
I mean, this is a very sad
be ridiculous.
story. But like, no one's thinking that we're going to save her. I mean, I think we're not going to save her life. Like,
Right.
what are we doing? It's just a history project.
Yeah, I
Right.
could see in the 50s, 60s still going for it. If she was alive, she would still be alive, kind of thing. If you were really holding out hope.
Yeesh.
Not
I don't
50s,
know.
60s. I mean, like a year after
Well, I'm
Max.
saying if she like survived.
Yeah.
Aren't there theories though that she just kind of faded back into the real world? Not this, maybe not even this Irina. Like she just lived the rest of her life in Europe or some shit.
I guess. Yeah, the Irene Bolam, I think, just sort of like represents that theory in general. Yeah.
Well,
And they
there's
pinned it on one woman.
Similar, like Reddit of the day. I think they tracked this poor woman down to New Jersey.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did all the triangulating, and then they were like, "It's Irene."
She's like, I've always been Irene.
I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell
This
you.
is my birth certificate.
Yeah.
What a bizarre way to live the last few years of your life.
Yeah.
Where- it might not have even been the last few years. It might have been like the last few decades of her life. Where
Oh
just
my
people are like,
God.
"It's Amelia
Amelia,
Earhart."
you know,
yeah.
She's like,
Amelia.
no, it's not.
That's secretly Amelia Earhart.
That's really funny.
That is actually hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably terrible, but also funny.
That's a good movie character.
Irene?
Yeah, a character who like everyone not secretly, like openly is like, well, you're Amelia Earhart.
Yeah,
That's
and
an
as the
interesting
audience, you don't
flip.
know what's true.
Is
Yeah.
you have to convince people you're not famous.
Yeah.
I love that problem.
So it sounds like we're island people.
I'm island people.
I believe
Yeah.
those radio transmissions. You know what I mean? It's believable. You can tell she was a scrapper. I don't think a crash takes her out right off the gun.
Right.
I believe
Mm.
Noonan gets knocked out. Let me tell you. But
Drunk. Probably died of alcohol withdrawals.
Right. Well, you're probably right.
no, I think it was a sad kind of situation where, like, you know what I mean? She didn't even have a volleyball on that island. She probably survived for a bit.
Yeah. You know what I hate about the movie Castaway is that he's on that island for like 3 years or something, and he comes home to his wife, and she already has a new husband and like kids. I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm about to blow your mind. Wife played by.
Helen Hunt.
There you go.
And it all comes full
Wow.
circle.
Wow.
We were at. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is a really upsetting movie. Do you remember the end of it where he's
Yeah.
just like, I've got nowhere to go?
Right.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
how it ends.
Basically.
Pretty
I've
much
never
because
seen
his
Castaway.
wife like already met someone else and had kids with him in the span of 3 years. The fuck?
Oh my
I've
god.
been dating Mark forever, and let me tell you something.
What did Amelia's husband do? How quickly did he move on?
Oh, so Mae and I were talking about it while you were doing your little thing.
Diddlin.
Basically, he remarried like a year and a half after. And some people think that he called off the search at a certain time, partly because we did this already. What are you-
It got her twice. That's how salacious it is. Oh man, I don't think you listened when we talked.
It's possible. We went back and forth for at least a minute on it. And
Can I ask, was his next wife also famous? Like, did he also PR her?
I don't think so. I
Or
don't
was she
think so.
more like a reserved character?
Marilyn Monroe.
His next wife was Marilyn.
Oh, that's an episode.
That's an
Oh,
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Well, we could just do. What if we just did one that was the Kennedy murders?
Yeah, the Kennedy curse.
Ah.
Oh, the Kennedy curse or the Kennedy
Yeah.
like Chappaquiddick, like the people, like the.
Well,
people
that's
that-
not much of a mystery. I mean, is it supposed to be mysterious? I don't think it is. Sorry.
All right, we're just having a conversation at this
Yeah.
point. Thank you for listening. Subscribe. Write us a letter.
Yeah, write us, please.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.